Hey, good morning, guys. Jeff Foyles here. It's about 10 minutes to 11 in the Central Time. What a blessed day. We're getting up this morning and going to the crossing in Chesterfield and participate and giving, praise and whatever you get out of it. I tell people this isn't, about God completely. This isn't about spirituality for some. This is about everything, whatever energy you bring and energy you take from the things that help you. So it's not about doing what I say or doing what I do or anyone else. It's some people are scared of the word God because of its overuse, and as well as the word love because it's overuse, and and that's society saying, let me grab onto one word that makes sense to them. But I don't care if you worship or your bicycle, it doesn't matter. Whatever brings out the good in you and the ability in you is a big deal. And like I said the other day, I wanted to talk about fear this morning because it paralyzes a lot of people, and it prevents us from serving, it prevents us from living, it prevents us from thinking, from doing, to taking that first step. And if you want to serve others, then you have to think like them, and you have to commit to that. So it doesn't love you too, Marco. And it doesn't give us the ability. Fear restricts us from that. And I'm not telling you something you don't already know. We all know that. It's just that the one thing in life that we can't control sometimes are our thoughts, and our thoughts create the emotions, and the emotions create anxiety, and and our thoughts, we have 60,000 plus thoughts a day, and those 60,000 thoughts are 99.9% of them, and for some 100%, are repetitive. So if you think about it, the things we think about, we've thought about them before, and we continue to think about them, and we chase them, and we roll them over, and we go to bed with them, we wake up with them, and all that's fear. The fear limits us. It continues to distort our instincts. When we're born, we have innate abilities to love, to commit, to, we slowly slip away from that, and we conform to society. Because society says you have to be like this, you have to do this, or else you won't fit in. You're different or broken. That's not the truth. What are your instincts right now? And when you start to see those instincts shift, it's an amazing feeling, because all of a sudden your instincts are to help, to serve, to commit, to love, to show kindness, respect. Those become your instincts. And our instincts, for a lot of people, or most people, majority of people, put it that way, are choosing the path of least resistance, and that's the path of what we consider fear, or society telling us what we need to do. It's not easy. Like I said, committing and living without fear, it's a lonely business. And you do that, and you'll always, well, let me back up. You won't always, but you'll consider yourself different. And that's not an easy thing to accept. To see yourself as different. We don't always have to show it, but we have to believe it. And sometimes you have to pick and choose your battles depending on who you're around and what you're doing. So the people that are listening today are the people that want to listen, right? There's fear there. There's fear, or else you wouldn't be still listening. We really have to drop the defenses and the veils, and and get serious about it, and take your life back. I know that sounds dramatic, but our lives are going in different directions, and it's crazy because we tend to enjoy it sometimes. We cling on to that chaos, we cling on to that dysfunction, and it is craziness to wake up, and when your body and your mind is just crippled by that fear and by that anxiety, and that relationship you're in, or that job you don't like, or that next thing you're going to do, and that anxiety hits, it's crazy. So how do we get out of that? Hi, Antonio. How do we get out of that? It's a process. They say the only problem is that which is created by thinking. We got to understand our mind is loose. Our gut feelings and our heart really is the most accurate thing we have. So as soon as you let your mind make those decisions, you're stuck. You're stuck in that. And if you ever look at how fear spreads, it is fast, right? It is fast because people relate to it. They relate to it. When they relate to it, they grab it. So fear spreads a lot quicker than peace and happiness, because it takes work. It takes work to actually spread some peace and happiness, because you're going up against 85-90% of the people in this world, and it's tough. I mean, you're swimming upstream. So, and some fear is good. I'm not saying get rid of it. It's physical fear. If you touch that burner on the stove, you're fearful of that, getting near it, because you're going to get burnt. It's not about physical fear. It's about not creating fear that's self-inflicted, right? Self-created. And the sad thing is, and the most challenging thing for a lot of people, is that it distorts our understanding. How do we control our thoughts and our fear to not distort really our understanding of what is really happening? As they say, the window of perception, if it was clear for all of us, we'd think exactly the same way, and we'd see things exactly the same way. That's not the case. So we're continuing to justify, we're continuing to interpret, continuing to try to understand the fears, and we accept it. It's crazy. We accept it because our ego tells us to, right? Fear is that defensiveness. Fear is that ability to stand up, and fight, and because you're fighting for your ego. And no one's going to stop you from being miserable. I'm not going to stop up and say, look, today you're not going to be miserable. That's up to you. No one's going to stop you. You're going to do it anyway. So today is about getting up and feeling blessed and being able to stand up to what is fearful. When we are threatened, our ego is threatened, boy, we jump up, and we'll die to defend that. And many people have. 100 million plus people in the 20th century alone were killed by other humans, and we'll stand up for fear and kill each other. I mean, that's how adamant and strong we feel about ego and about defending ourselves. So it is, I'll use the word crazy again, because we get to the point where it's so distorted and dysfunctional that we allow it to happen. And if you think it's never too late, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, I don't care how old you are, 60, at the end of the day, you, whoops, I'm trying to park. At the end of the day, there's always opportunity to change, and always opportunity to become someone different, think differently. And it's never too late. People give up. People change their perceptions all the time. So we have to consider that. We have about 2 minutes. Something that happened to me last week when I was talking about on Sunday last week, and I talked about knowledge, wisdom, and truth, which is, I think, so powerful. And when you're dealing with knowledge, wisdom, and truth, those are big words. And the amazing thing, and it's really, what we call, a lot of people call God shots, right? When you, all of a sudden you feel it. And I saw another friend on Facebook the other day that just felt it. And it was about her life. It wasn't about, God or spirituality. It was about her life, and everyone told her that it would show up. But when I walked into the service, the topics were knowledge, wisdom, and the truth it takes to get there. And it gave me goosebumps. It's one of those things where you're like, wait a minute, how did this happen? Well, when you're in alignment and you try to stay there, when you're in alignment, that stuff happens. Miracles happen, and don't stop short of that miracle, because a lot of us do. The fear of taking that last step, the fear of that miracle changing us, changing us. God forbid that, it changes us. We have to we have to relearn and rethink. And to relearn something, it's tough. It is not easy, but you don't discourage yourself from starting, because it really is, it's a process, and quit beating yourself up. I tell you that. Don't be so self-critical. Work on your self-esteem. Quit beating yourself up. Get yourself to a position where you can start to see the change. I had a couple people that fell out of my life recently, and I love these opportunities because I don't want to be around them, and it doesn't mean I don't love them and I pray for them, but they just don't fit my progress, and they don't fit my direction. And that's okay, because people fall in and fall out of your life at precisely the right times. If you're in alignment, you'll watch it happen. Whether doesn't matter who it is, brother, sister, mother, father, friend, colleague, peer, it doesn't matter. They fall in and fall out of your life at the right times. So you have to accept that. I don't ever see it as a negative thing. I see it as positive, and I hope that they are able to reach levels that we all try to reach. And you got to, go back to the 15%, 13%, sometimes the 10% of the people in this world that are at those levels and are focused on that alignment and that focus of being better and being better than you were yesterday. So at the end of the day, we have to fight that process. The minute you get out of bed, I know people that stub their toe and that's the end of their day. The rest of the day it's a struggle. And I know people that just lay in bed, and I'm fine with it. I mean, when it comes down to resting and relaxing, you should do it as 100% as you do everything else. But we don't. What do? We feel guilty, right? We feel guilty. We lay there and like, what should I be doing? Why am I laying here? Then not only that, but you have other people telling you, why don't you do something? Why do you keep laying there? Why do you keep watching the ball game? Why do you do this? I mean, it gets to a point where you have to make a decision on which way you're going. People pull you down. Imagine 85% of the people, when you leave your house, they're coming after you, right? Unless you're in a happy, safe place. When you go to a service, as we will in a second, I'm going to go in there and I'm around safe, healthy people, or people that are trying to be better, or people that are participating and some aren't. But the fact that they're sitting there makes a big difference. Last week, I like to sit after the service because think about all of the energy off of the people that leave, right? Hundreds of people that leave that service, their couch is there for a reason, right? So I sat there last week, and the lady, really, when most people have left, and if you're in there and you see me, sit down and talk, because I had several people come up to me and just sit down and talk. I think my socks attracted them, but besides that, at the end of the day, it was about having a conversation. Either they saw me on Facebook or they agree with some of the things that I'm talking about. They sat and talked. But when people leave, everyone left, and a lady that was working there came up and said, can I help you? Like, it was awkward that I was still sitting there, but there's people still walking around, and I was sitting there, and I looked at her and said, I don't know. Can you? The big question is, can you? I don't know. I just wanted to sit there and absorb all the things that were coming out. All the things that made sense at that moment. And it's instinct. Our instincts gets better and better. Remember a couple things, and I'll leave on this note, but Einstein said it's the most important, and pay attention, because it's the most important decision a human will ever make in their life. I know I got your attention. It's the most important decision that every human will make in their life. And Einstein says you have to decide, do you live in a hostile universe, or do you live in a peaceful universe? It's as simple as that. If you live in a hostile universe, you're going to get up and you're going to fight, and then you're going to take the path of least resistance. You're going to blend in, then you're going to fight all day long. If you live in a peaceful universe, that's a different process. So you have to choose which one is it. And on that note, I'm gone. I love you all. Have a great day, and we have a lot of great things we're going to do today. This is the start, but I will probably be back later today, and we are getting some shoes for a gentleman that's in one of the homeless camps today that has been wanting them for a long time. and Tony Hilker and Joyce Kite Smith, and I always say their full names, I don't know why. Tony and Joyce, we're going to go out today, and after 2 o'clock I think it is, but he's been waiting for shoes, and that's it, and for weeks and weeks and not months and months, and we're gonna go to him. So today's a great day. That's just a couple things that are gonna happen, but I hope to expose that today and give you some of that energy back that makes sense. So all right, do something great today. Hug someone. I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon.